are going to move on today to start reading The Wizard of Oz. We're looking at chapter 2 from The Wizard of Oz, which is the chapter where Dorothy shows up to the Munchkin land. I want you guys to silently read this chapter, and then we're going to look at some specific passages to see all the different points of view. So while you read, I want you to think about who the main characters of this text are. And then we'll come back and we'll look at specific parts of the story. All right, go ahead and pause me while you read. Okay, so now that you've read, I want you to make a list of the main characters and make a list of any characters that were mentioned that you don't think are main characters at this point in the story. And think about why you chose who you chose. All right, so hopefully you guys thought about the main characters being Dorothy, the Munchkins, and the Good Witch. The other characters are Auntie Em and Uncle Henry. They are mentioned in the story, but they are not main characters at this point. They are not actually in this scene. We don't really get to see how they feel, and they're not really all that important to the plot. The only other character that's really mentioned is the Wizard of Oz and the Wicked Witch. Again, they're not in this scene. And so they're really not going to be important characters right now. However, we are going to think about how the Wicked Witch might feel as we read today. So what we're going to do is kind of do a close read of just the second and third pages and start to think about what we know about the point of view of the main characters, the Munchkins, Dorothy, and the Good Witch. And then at the very end, we will speculate or make some guesses about how the Wicked Witch, the one that's still alive, feels. So if you follow along with me, I am starting on the top of page 2. You are welcome, most noble sorceress, to the land of the Munchkins. We are so grateful to you for having killed the Wicked Witch of the East and for setting our people free from bondage. Dorothy listened to the speech with wonder. What could the little woman possibly mean by calling her a sorceress and saying she had killed the Wicked Witch of the East? Dorothy was an innocent, harmless little girl who had been carried by a cyclone many miles from home, and she'd never killed anything in all her life. All right, I want you to pause here and think about, how does Dorothy feel about her role in the Wicked Witch's death? All right, now that you have answered that question, we're going to keep reading. But the little woman evidently expected her to answer. So Dorothy said with hesitation, "You are very kind, but there must be some mistake. I have not killed anything." "Your house did anyway," replied the little old woman with a laugh. "And that's the same thing. See," she continued, pointing to the corner of the house. "There are her 2 feet still sticking out from under a block of wood." Dorothy looked and gave a little cry of fright. There, indeed, just under the corner of the great beam the house rested on, 2 feet were sticking out, shod in silver shoes with pointed toes. Oh dear, cried Dorothy, clasping her hands together in dismay. "The house must have fallen on her. Whatever shall we do?" "There's nothing to be done," said the little woman calmly. "But who was she?" asked Dorothy. "She was the Wicked Witch of the East, as I said," answered the little woman. "She has held all the Munchkins in bondage for many years, making them slave for her night and day. Now they are all set free and are grateful to you for the favor." Okay, so I want you to pause here, and I want you to think about how the Munchkins feel about Dorothy. "Who are the Munchkins?" inquired Dorothy. "They're the people who live in this land of the East where the Wicked Witch ruled." "Are you a Munchkin?" asked Dorothy. "No, but I am their friend, although I live in the land of the North. When they saw the Witch of the East was dead, the Munchkins sent a swift messenger to me, and I came at once. I am the Witch of the North." "Oh, gracious!" cried Dorothy. "Are you a real witch?" "Yes, indeed," answered the little woman. "But I'm a good witch, and the people love me. I'm not as powerful as the Wicked Witch who ruled here. I should have set the people free myself." "But I thought all witches were wicked," said the girl, who was half frightened at facing a real witch. Oh no, that is a great mistake. There were only 4 witches in all the land of Oz, and 2 of them, those who live in the north and south, are good witches. I know this is true, for I'm one of them myself and cannot be mistaken. Those who dwelt in the east and the west were indeed wicked witches, but now that you've killed one of them, there is but one wicked witch in all the land of Oz, the one who lives in the west. All right, I want you to think about, how does the good witch feel about Dorothy? All right, now I want you to pause and I want you to speculate or make a guess. How do you think the wicked witch would feel about Dorothy, the one that's still alive? But, said Dorothy after a moment's thought, Aunt Em has told me that the witches were all dead years and years ago. Who is Aunt Em? Inquired the little old woman. She's my aunt who lives in Kansas, where I came from. The witch of the north seemed to think for a time, with her head bowed and her eyes upon the ground. Then she looked up and said, I do not know where Kansas is, for I've never heard that country mentioned before. But tell me, is it a civilized country? Oh, yes, replied Dorothy. All right, now that we've done that close read, I want you to think about this question, and this is that question that I want you to take some time, make sure you include evidence. I want you to think, make this your best answer of the day. How does the point of view of Dorothy differ from that of the Munchkins? Okay, so we're thinking back to the beginning of what I read. How does the point of view of Dorothy differ from that of the Munchkins? All right.